Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. We will continue with the topic in the lower limb, inversion and eversion, which is an important essay or sometimes inverters and everters. Name the inverters and everters may be asked as short notes. So we will prepare this as essay so that you can modify into short notes also. This inversion and eversion as compared to pronation and supination of the upper limb. So both these questions may be asked as essays. The students should not forget. Usually they tend to read hip joint, knee joint, shoulder joint and tend to forget pronation and supination and inversion and eversion, which may be asked as essays in the exams. So do read this inversion and eversion also. Those who have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe now so that you will have the continuation of gross anatomy, histology, embryology, neuroanatomy. Ours is a complete anatomy channel. So do subscribe now, keep watching the videos. Now we will move on to the topic inversion and eversion of lower limb. We will first see the definition. So why it is important? So while walking on an uneven surface, so that these movements help in the adjusting the foot to the uneven surface. Even these movements help in efficient shift of weight distribution to the heads of the metatarsal bones. So what is inversion? Definition. The medial border of the foot is raised, bringing the plantar aspect of the foot medially and downwards. So what are happening in this inversion? Initially the forepart of the foot is adducted at the subtalar joint, followed by the lateral rotation of the foot at the subtalar joint. So inversion consists of two movements, adduction in the forepart of the foot followed by lateral rotation. Components and definition of eversion. The lateral margin of the foot is raised above the ground so that the sole faces downwards and laterally. So these definitions of inversion and eversion, if you read in the books, it will be given as on the ground and off the ground. It is better to read on the ground one definition clearly. So they consist of two movements, abduction and pronation. Forepart of the foot is initially abducted at the mid-tarsal joint, followed by medial rotation of the foot at the subtalar joint. So now you should have understood these two joints are very important in inversion and eversion, mid-tarsal and subtalar joint. So we have finished the definition and components of inversion and eversion. Now we will see the muscles producing inversion and eversion. These may be asked as short notes. Inverters, name the inverters. Tibialis anterior and tibialis posterior. Everters, peroneus longus and brevis peroneus tertius. So students should remember inverters, they start with tibialis. Everters start with peroneus. So the next heading will be the joints producing inversion and eversion. We will tell the joints first and we will see the joints in detail. Mid-tarsal or transverse talar joints. Mid-tarsal means in the middle of the tarsal bones. So that is, they are called as mid-tarsal joint. Subtalar, it is below the talus. Mid-tarsal is also called as transverse talar joint. So these two joints produce the inversion and eversion. So these two joints may be asked as separate questions also. For example, mid-tarsal joint, subtalar joint separately. But if the question is asked as inversion and eversion, you should start like this. Definition, muscles producing movements, joints producing movements and in detail. So now we will see the mid-tarsal joint. This mid-tarsal joint consists of two joints with separate joint cavities, talocalcaneonavicular joint medially and calcaneocuboid joint laterally. Both components are connected by the bifurcated ligament so that they move as one unit during inversion and eversion of the joint, eversion of the foot. So even though there are two joint cavities, they together move so that they are called as mid-tarsal joint. So mid-tarsal, this is the mid-tarsal joints, these two. So this part is talocalcaneonavicular joint medially and calcaneocuboid joint laterally, connected by the bifurcated ligament. So these two joints together called as transverse talar or mid-tarsal joint. And this is the subtalar joint. So here the talus is removed. Below the talus, this is subtalar. We will see first mid-tarsal, then move on to the subtalar joints. So this is first talocalcaneonavicular. So this is talus. So this part is this bone is talus, navicular and calcaneum. So this is the talocalcaneonavicular joint, this part. So what is the type of this joint is restricted ball and socket. So head of talus is considered as ball and this is considered as a socket. The ball is the spheroidal head of the talus and the socket is formed by one concave posterior surface of the navicular bone, upper surface of the plantar calcaneonavicular ligament, and the anterior two talar facets on the upper surface of the sustentaculum tali of calcaneum. So this is somewhat difficult to understand. You should see this socket is formed by two components. First component and the second component is the bone and the middle component is the ligament. So now you can understand. So this is the posterior concave surface of the navicular and the upper surface of the ligament, and this is the sustentaculum tali. So these together form this socket. So this is the ligament, plantar calcaneonavicular ligament, otherwise called as the spring ligament. Ligaments of this subtalar mid-tarsal joint are capsular ligament, talonavicular ligament, plantar calcaneonavicular ligament and calcaneonavicular part of the bifurcated ligaments. So capsular ligament loosely envelops the joint. Talonavicular ligament, it is connecting the dorsal surface of the navicular bone and neck of the talus. Plantar calcaneonavicular ligament, this ligament is called as spring ligament. So this may be again asked as short notes. So this ligament connects the plantar surface of the navicular with the sustentaculum tali of the calcaneus. It is continuous medially with the deltoid ligament of the ankle joint and laterally with the short plantar ligament. So this is the plantar calcaneonavicular ligament called as spring ligament, continuous with the short plantar ligament and with the deltoid ligament of the ankle joint. So connects this navicular bone and the calcaneum. So it is in the sole of the foot. So it is called plantar calcaneonavicular ligament. So we are seeing this joint in the mid-tarsal. We are seeing the talocalcaneonavicular joint first. Then we will see the calcaneocuboid joint. So if you see, this lower surface of this ligament is related to the slip of the tibialis posterior tendon. So this ligament is very important ligament in medial longitudinal arch of the foot. This ligament itself is supported by the tibialis posterior tendon. So the same sole of the foot to show the ligaments and the tendons. So we have completed the talocalcaneonavicular joint. Now we will see the calcaneocuboid joint. This is saddle or cellar joint. Articulating surfaces, anterior surface of the calcaneum and posterior surface of the cuboid. Both are convexo-concave and reciprocally curved. When a joint we call it as saddle or cellar, they will be concavo-convex. Ligaments of the joint: capsular ligament, bifurcated ligament, long plantar ligament, short plantar ligament. So this is the posterior surface of the calcaneum. So here we are seeing the, yes, this is the anterior surface of the calcaneum and this is the posterior surface of the cuboid. So this joint is called as the calcaneocuboid joint. Bifurcated ligament, it is Y-shaped, intervenes between the two joints. Now in the beginning of mid-tarsal joint, we saw that it intervenes between these two joints. Stem of the ligament is attached to the upper surface of the anterior part of the calcaneus. Medial limb is attached to the dorsolateral aspect of the navicular bone and it has some name. You try to find out the name. Lateral limb is attached to the dorsomedial aspect of the cuboid bone. So this is the bifurcated ligament attached to the upper surface of calcaneum. And the stems are attached to the cuboid and to this, yes, this is the navicular and this to the cuboid. Medially to the navicular bone and laterally to the lateral limb to the cuboid bone. Long plantar ligament, it is in the sole of the foot, lies superficial to the short plantar on the plantar aspect of the foot. Behind it is attached to the plantar surface of the calcaneus in a triangular area between the anterior and two posterior tubercles, that is the posterior attachment of the long plantar ligament. Front, it is attached to the oblique ridge on the plantar surface of the cuboid. Yes, here we are telling this is the, yes, these are the two tubercles, posterior tubercle and anterior tubercle. So it is attached here to the calcaneum, to the cuboid. Short plantar ligament, behind it is attached to the plantar aspect of the calcaneus in front of the anterior tubercle. Front, it is attached to the plantar surface of the cuboid bone. So this is the short plantar ligament. So now you can understand in this picture how all these ligaments act as the intersegmental tires in the arches of the foot. So now we have completed the mid-tarsal joint. Now we will move on to the subtalar joint, also known as the posterior talocalcanean joint. Type of the joint, it is modified multiaxial synovial. Articulating surfaces, talocalcaneum. Posterior surface, lower surface of the body of the talus, that is obliquely placed concave articular facet, and upper surface of the middle third of the calcaneum. Ligaments of the joint, capsule, medial and lateral talocalcanean ligaments, interosseous talocalcanean ligament, cervical ligament. Interosseous talocalcanean ligament fills up the bony canal of the sinus torsi. So this is the sinus torsi. Yes, here it fills up. Separates this joint from the talocalcaneonavicular ligament. So this is the talocalcaneonavicular joint and this is the talocalcanean joint, otherwise called as the subtalar joint. Cervical ligament, lateral to the interosseous ligament, and it is attached to the upper surface of the calcaneus with the lateral surface of the neck of the talus. So we have completed the subtalar joint and mid-tarsal joints in detail. Now the important part of the inversion and eversion is the axis you have to write. Axis of inversion and eversion. The line joining the centers of the curvatures of the two joints. The axial line passes obliquely upward, forward and medially. from the heel end of the calcaneus through the sinus torsi to the dorsomedial surface of the neck of the talus. Yes, from the heel end of the calcaneus to the sinus torsi to the neck of the talus, so that it passes through subtalar and also to the mid-tarsal joints. So we have seen this inversion and eversion in detail, definition, parts of the movements or components of the inversion and eversion, muscles producing the movements, joints producing the movement, so that they are the mid-tarsal and subtalar joint. Mid-tarsal we saw the two joints, calcaneonavicular and calcaneocuboid joints, and also the subtalar joints and the axis of the inversion and eversion. I hope you should have understood this important topic, but it is a slightly difficult topic as it consists of many joints in the articulated foot. So you have to read with the articulated foot or with the good diagrams so that you will understand. So read 2 or 3 times, then it will be easy for you. With the next topic in the lower limb, we have only one more topic, arches of the foot. With that topic in the lower limb, we will see in the next video. Those who have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. Thank you.